What is up, YouTube? It is Coach Kolton here to bring you physique development tools, skills, and opinions that hopefully you can use for yourself to make some gains. Today, once again, we are surfing the More Plates, More Dates Reddit, and I actually came across a question that I have a very strong opinion about, and it's worth sharing to you guys. There is recently been a huge influx of information with PEDs, a lot of educators in the community opening up and really discussing these topics about safer use models and so on. And this is good. I like communication. It's a very positive thing. But I will say, as this person kind of asks, how has an abundance of information about PEDs and transparency of cycles affected you? Now, the reality of the situation is I like to kind of relate it to nutritional studies, and I think those are the best ones to kind of compare to, because nutritional studies are great. They're very insightful to kind of the way we live as human beings, but they have a ton of noise, and sometimes a population level study can be completely wrong with what's reality. We see this because there's people in many different camps nutritionally saying you should avoid seed oils, or saying you should only eat meat, or saying you should only eat vegetables, all with very good literature to support what they are saying, all with very, very high prestigious level degrees and are solidified in their space or area or niche, but it still makes sense because they're able to back it with really foundational science. And it's hard to say what is right and what is wrong. The same thing applies when it comes to PEDs. You have a lot of people putting out information, some singing the same song, and some saying that, you know, these studies are kind of these people embellishing or extrapolating too far and saying, you know, well, this animal data said this, so this is obviously the safer route. And some of it can be kind of conflicting, because you have other people who say, because we lose hair due to steroids, it's not androgenic, it's actually just due to inflammation only, and that there's no reason we shouldn't be concerned, and Masteron actually won't fry your hair quicker than anything else. And other people say it's retarded, like just look at the literature and you'll see that this for yourself, you know, DHT affects the hair molecules much more rapidly, follicles much more rapidly. And there's like all sorts of like, well, you can read as far as you want into it in vitro and like cell cultures and try to learn what you can about what these hormones or peptides do to humans, but ultimately, like, these people, the leaders of education in our space, a lot of the times are extrapolating their opinions upon the research that they're conducting. So they might read something, say, okay, I interpreted this from this study or these several studies or this review, and now I'm going to make a video about this, but I'm going to input my opinion about this. That can be good, but that can also be harmful. One thing I would like to mention, that just because people can read studies and they can elucidate information from studies well, or at least their opinion of what they've read well, it doesn't mean that they're actually good at applying that information. This is very rare. You can find individuals who are so good at just talking about science and being scientific, but when it comes to actually applying that knowledge to a human being, there's nothing there. It's just an empty carcass. Whereas you have people well, there's several really, but when you look at really any top level coach in this current era, there's no science behind what they're doing. You know, Hani Rambod doesn't know the affinity of any drug to the androgen receptor, I promise you, but other coaches do. However, he seems to know what he's doing so much better, and that's because in his little information box, he has experimented and trialed and errored so well that his knowledge is based around what has worked. Whereas other people are just saying what they think might work. And so you have these individuals who know nothing about science, but their practical application is extremely good. And these individuals who study the science 100% and say they know what they're doing very well, and even mock the people who do what they do because of practical application and that experience, but they can't actually practically apply what they're saying in any sort of fashion. So these are kind of the things that I am conflicted with, because you see people, one, there's two camps. So you always have two camps to any situation. Some people say that the research says you should just use bioidentical hormones to structure your off-season or even competition season, and that using anything else will be deleterious to your health, so only relying on insulin, growth hormone, and testosterone. You have other individuals who say you should only replace testosterone with the replacement dose, enough for your physiology to withstand, and then you should replace the rest with DHTs that are going to be less detrimental to your health. You have others who say equipoise is going to be awful for you because in some rat models it was shown to be extra kidney toxic. And then you have others who say that data is completely fallible and it's actually not a big deal at all. In fact, it might be better than testosterone, in fact, because it doesn't interact with the same sort of, or doesn't aromatize at the same rate. So there's like so much conflicting information out there because of the abundance of information. And just like nutritional data, you can read a study and you can interpret it in several different ways. Similar to religion, people can read the Bible and somehow it's the same Bible, but there's dozens and dozens of religions. And this is how, unfortunately, when people become biohackers or try to learn on their own, it's good. I still do it myself. I still love learning. I still love reading and figuring out physiology, any sort of pharmacology I can. But ultimately, you're developing an opinion that you're getting from a half-baked or a half-cocked study, and it's not really, you know, people make their money off this. So they're going to sell their ideas and their products as good as they can because, honestly, that's how they're going to make money. And if they can make it sound scientific and back it by, I've read all this research, but it's only like cell cultures or rat models or something of the like, it's like, man, I don't know how much you actually know, though. Do you know, like, what the interaction at a cellular level is with the difference between Primabol and Ermasteron? Like, do you actually know? Or do you know the effects of growth hormone long-term for 20 plus years in exogenous use with the specific strain of amino acids? Or do you actually know what a different dimer will do to a human being? Like, a lot of these people think they know because they've read data, but like that data is highly interpretable to different opinions and it's ambiguous in nature. And second to that, it's also something that is an opinion-based thing. You're reading a cell culture, you're reading a animal model. Yes, they maybe have some applicable tools, but ultimately, if there's not human data, you're guessing, you're pissing in the wind. There's so many studies that are done on rat models, then done on humans, and there's zero fucking correlation between anything. In most pharmaceutical data, that is why things don't make it to the next trial, because they go through the rat model to humans and they find that in the human models, nothing worked that was in the rat models. This is why it's so important to formulate your own opinions and also be your N equals 1. And that's not saying go and be irresponsible and do the stupid shit people talk about on forums. Be responsible, practice a safer use model of dose escalation, not just a high fucking dose at a very young age, but you know, be realistic with yourself and say, okay, all these people are preaching these things and I think I should do this or I think I should do that. One, hire someone who's done this shit before, because that's how you're going to make the most bang for your buck. But two, you know, be realistic. Don't expect yourself to grow fucking 10 pounds in a month. Okay, that doesn't happen. That does not happen. You need to be realistic and understand that if I start at a low dose, a very, very modest and low dose, that I'm going to get a lot out of it for myself. And if I don't gain 10 pounds, it's because I am not a genetic freak like some other people who have, you know, proclaimed to the clouds that they're, you know, the best drug cycle is X, Y, and Z. Come up with your own formulations. Be your own N equals 1. Do your blood work. Do organ scans. And you determine if X, Y, or Z drug is causing any sort of X, Y, or Z maladaptation to you. But listening to these other people is sort of redundant, and it's funny because the people who are usually talking and educating the most have built their physiques using the things that they preach against, and that's really all I'll say. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it wasn't too much of a ramble. If you did enjoy, please comment down below, like, and share. I will see you in the next one. Deuces.